Hola, mi amigos, and welcome to the Sir Gladiator Show. On this edition of the Sir Gladiator Show, I would like to discuss with you the details of the highly anticipated, much awaited, and finally executed Matt Garza trade. Turned out that the Cubs traded Matt Garza to the Texas Rangers for several players. And I've been doing a lot of research on the details regarding those players. And I have here some notes from an article on ESPN.com. Those written by Keith Law, it says here. But I've been doing a lot of research across the internet. And as a Cubs fan, I believe that there is just tremendous potential for us to have one and one big this trade. It is going to depend on certain factors, obviously, regarding how well the prospects that we got back for Garza do. But the potential is very significant, and I would like to talk about some of the players that the Chicago Cubs got for Matt Garza. Of course, from the perspective of the Texas Rangers, this one's easy. They win because they get a great pitcher, and they didn't really have to give up anybody that they were going to be using this year, most likely. I mean, certainly not if they make the playoffs, right? I mean, who are these? I mean, who among these people are going to be, on their roster come playoff time or playoff run time? It wasn't going to happen. So basically, they get a great starter for free for this year. So these are players that would have been playing for them down the line, not this year. So for this year, clearly, Texas wins big. But if you're looking down the line as a Cubs fan, you're always looking down the line. It's sad but true. So I like what I'm seeing. I like a lot of what I'm seeing here. So let's start with Alt. Now, this Alt fellow, Mike Alt, is someone we tried to get last year. Is my understanding that we offered Texas Ryan Dempster for Alt straight up, and they turned us down because he was regarded, very highly at the time. This season, he has done in AAA, I believe, just incredibly badly, and his stock has plummeted. It turns out that the reason for that, at least one of the reasons, is he had an eye problem that has been fixed. He has been playing better after that, as you would figure. It helps to be able to see the ball. And so now that he can see the ball better, I'm not sure if he's still back to 100%, but obviously he's better, and he's performing better. And so I believe that everything gets taken care of. The eye problem, the vision gets back to 100%. I believe he can get back to being that guy with the superstar potential that he was thought to be last year. Okay, now I mentioned here that he, since coming off the DL, which presumably was for that eye thing, he's still only hitting 247. But it also says that when his vision is 100% again, he could do better. That would stand to reason, right? That's logic, common sense there. All right. So and he's a third baseman. He's someone that the Cubs desperately need because our third basemen tend to suck. we've got a fair number of players that you could say that about. Certainly, especially this year. I mean, wow. I mean, even our first baseman is supposed to be a superstar. Our shortstop's supposed to be a superstar, and they're horrible this year. You know, like what in the world is going on? You know, but they generally, at least, are really good. You know, not counting this year, but we don't have anybody at third base, so we needed that badly, and now we have one. I don't know how long we're going to leave him in AAA before we bring him up. Really. All right. Now I'd like to mention one of the pitchers that we got in the deal, Justin Grimm. Now, Grimm would describe very well how he has done this year as well. We talked about how Mike Old has done horribly because of a medical problem. Grimm has not had any medical problems I'm aware of. He's just been horrible. But there is also an excuse for him as well, and that is this guy's a AAA pitcher. But due to a major number of injuries to the Texas Rangers pitching rotation, they needed to bring him up to pitch at the major league level because they had to have somebody pitch, and so they used this guy. He wasn't ready. He's been horrible. And again, this is Texas. So you take somebody. You start out with somebody who is a AAA pitcher not ready for the big leagues, and then you add to that. Oh, by the way, you're pitching in Texas. You know, one of the most hitter-friendly parks in America. That's not a good combination. That's not going to work out well, and it surely did not for Mr. Justin Grimm. But this guy, you know, he has potential. He is a AAA pitcher. You give this guy, you know, time to develop, and there is potential. This Keith Lawfellow says here that let's see, has a two-seamer that has good sinking life, but hasn't produced ground balls this year. Oh wait, actually, this was talking about Garza. Was this talking about Garza here? Yeah, this is Garza's done very well. So anyway, see, let me look again here. Where are they talking about Grimm? Well, Grimm is over here. Grimm is on page 2. I was reading Matt Garza. Grimm is page 2. Says he might be a 5th starter, but right now projects more as a swingman or middle guy because he's a 2-pitch pitcher. Right, but enough of that. Here's the thing. Guy's a AAA pitcher. You know, give him time to develop. He's got the fastball that gets into the 90s. It's a low 90s. It's not great. He's got potential. That's about all I can say about him. He's got potential. It's probably not great potential. Decent potential. Decent potential fighters. Now let me go back to page 1 here because, well, since I accidentally read some stuff about Garza, not that you need to know anything about Garza, let's read some more here about Garza before I move on to the other fella. Because, you know, I'm sure that some of you are Texas fans and want to know about Garza. Aside from he's awesome, you know, you'd like to hear some things. It says here Garza's main issue has been his lack of health. He's been effective when healthy. Let's see. He says that he could be as much as 2 WAR, which is wins above replacement, from now until the end of the season. But you consider that's half a season, or maybe less than half a season now, right? That's not bad. He's and he's, you know, he's replacing Grimm. He's replacing Grimm, and so, you know, Grimm is indeed not ready. Uh, Garza is one of the better pitchers in baseball. Obviously, that's a huge improvement. You don't even need to say something like, look at WAR, wins above replacement. You say a great pitcher is replacing a horrible one. And again, that's not to say that Grimm is going to stay horrible, but for this year at the major league level, the guy's horrible. He's not a major league pitcher. So, you know, I think that calling it a 2 WAR is probably rather low. I mean, every time out, every time the Garza is pitching, instead of this horrible Grimm fellow, you've got a much, much better chance of winning. You could get 10 more wins, not 2. So, Garza is awesome. Let's see, it says he uses 4 pitches, but he's barely used his changeup. He's instead increased the use of his two-seamer. In the past, he hadn't been able to command it. Again, the part that I accidentally read earlier about he hasn't been getting ground balls this year. His ground ball rate is 39.8%. Obviously, he probably would like to have that higher, particularly in Texas, right? But Garza's great. The guy he's replacing is terrible. That's really all you need to know. All this technical stuff is sort of irrelevant when you're dealing with such extremes, But now I want to get to perhaps the most fascinating player of the list, and the one with sort of the most potential to be either awesome or horrible. And of course, that is Edwards, C.J. Edwards. He's only 21 years old. He's been pitching in low A, and that's why the risk reward is so high, because everything he's done has been at low A. He's so far from the majors that anything can happen. But the numbers are so incredible, even though it is low A. I want to give you some of them. His ERA 1.83. All right, now that's awesome right there. All right, just right there, that's just super duper. And when you consider that he's been pitching in Hickory, which, as I understand it from reading elsewhere, not in this article necessarily, but elsewhere, is my understanding that is a hitter's park. So 1.83 ERA, and he hasn't given up any home runs all year, is also something that I've read. So in hitter's park, it's incredible stuff. But wait, it gets better. Let's put it that way. He's pitched 93 to third innings, 122 strikeouts. Okay, now that to me is one of his biggest selling points. 93 to third innings, 122 strikeouts. I mean, that is big time stuff right there. That's what that is. Okay. Now it says here that he's listed as 6'2", 155 pounds. I've read elsewhere that it was 160 pounds. But either way, they want him to gain some weight so that he can throw even harder, and have even more durability. Now he can throw, it says here, 90 to 96. With an above average to plus curveball with good depth, and 12 to 6 break, and a developing changeup that projects as average to slightly above. Okay, so this guy throws hard, even though he doesn't weigh very much. So, and again, he's only 21. So you get the guy in the weight room. You give the guy a cheeseburger to, some protein shakes, whatever. Get him some weight. This guy could one day throw close to 100. He could hit 100. I mean, right? If he's throwing 90 to 96 now, I mean, 100 is just 4 miles an hour from 96. put some weight on the guy. You know, give the guy some real weight training. Why couldn't he hit 100, right? This is a guy, tremendous potential. Tremendous potential is what you say about this guy. And so this is the wild card. It's, it could be a couple years before we really get a good idea as to how he is going to turn out. And he could make or break this deal for the Cubs. C.J. Edwards. That's the name you're going to want to remember. You're going to hear a lot about Mike Holt. You may hear a lot about Justin Grimm if they choose to use him at the big league level, either toward the end of this season or the beginning of next season, which might not be a good idea, by the way, but if, I'm just saying if. But so you might not hear C.J. Edwards' name much, for a long time, if you don't pay attention to the minor leagues. But that guy is the guy that could make or break this deal. Now, it's also worth noting that is not the entire deal. There is also the player to be named later. You say, well, who's that? Actually, is either going to be, they don't list the guy's name here, but I believe it's Ramirez. It might be Neil Ramirez. I can't remember. I wish that they had listed his name here, but I don't see it. But it's either Ramirez, I believe it's Ramirez, or if they don't pick him, then they actually get two players to be named later. So either one player if it's Ramirez, who was a double-A pitcher, if memory serves, or two players other than him. And it was a mutually agreed upon list of players. I haven't seen that list. I don't know that anybody has published that list or knows what it is. But they're either going to get two players to be named later or one particular player who I believe he's generally regarded as really good, but with health issues. And so the question is, do they want to take that kind of gamble on his health issues? Because he does have major upside. All right, so all this stuff, all the technical stuff, the numbers, the this and the that. The bottom line is that the Cubs have gotten themselves some players with real potential, 3 players that we know of with real potential to help the team win. 2 of them with particularly high upside, Holt and Edwards. Grimm, not so much with the major upside, but at least the potential to be a real deal starter once he develops in AAA some more. And the player or players to be named later, depending on who they are. Hopefully that Ramirez fellow will check out medically and we can get him. Because it is my understanding that he's a pretty good pitcher. He's already at the AA level, and he's somebody that you'd want in your system. But just aside from the player or players to be named later, 3 players for Garza. Again, with either a 4th or a 4th and 5th to come. 2 with tremendous upside potential to be real superstars. Holt and Edwards could be real superstars. Garza is a superstar. We gave up a lot. We got potentially a lot. Obviously, the potential is also there for these people just to suck, And nobody says they have to, live up to their potential. I mean, they could be horrible, and we could have just given away a great pitcher for nothing. And as a Cubs fan, you might be negative and you think, oh no, that's probably what's going to happen. But I'm more positive. I believe that the chances are very real that these guys are gonna develop and that they're all going to be real contributors, and that at least 1 or 2 of them could be genuine superstars. So, as a Cubs fan, I'm giving this trade a thumbs up. It has my approval. I like it, and I hope that all you Cub fans out there will like it as well. At least be optimistic. We might as well at least be optimistic, right? I mean, we'll find out soon enough. Uh, we'll find out when we find out um, how it ended up doing. I mean, it could be years before we know who really overall won the trade. But of course, it could be not so long, because what if the season's over and then and Matt Garza is a free agent at the end of the season? What if we sign him? And then there's no question as to who won the trade. You know, we won it huge because we got all these players for free. We got all these players, and we still got Garza. If we end up signing him in the off season, so that would be one way of knowing who won the trade. Really easy way, right? So, but hopefully before too awful long, we'll know one way or the other who won the trade, and hopefully it will be us, and hopefully it will be big. And well, this has been a particularly long edition of the Sir Gladiator Show, but I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something, and that you've had fun doing it. So until next time, this has been your friend and mine, Sir Gladiator. For the Sir Gladiator Show, have a great day.